Welcome back to the On the Ball podcast. This is episode 120 of the show, and we are once again joined by I was going to say trio, but I'm not really joining myself, am I? So we're joined by the dynamic duo that is Rowie and Pilch. Rowie, how are you, mate?
I'm ecstatic, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty well. Pilch, how are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, I've actually just clocked that both your teams have had pretty good weekends. Win over Richmond for Port and a huge comeback win over West Coast for the Saners. And obviously, as you probably just worked out, this is another AFL review you probably could have told from the title. And we will once again be reviewing the round 4 week of action. I'll be honest, didn't watch every game, but definitely caught more than previous weeks since cricket is winding down now. So enjoyed watching that. There were some big upsets, some big shocks. And I think we just start off. There's a few new segments this week. We're also going to chat about SuperCoach. Haven't really done that too much before, but we'll start again with our trusty winners and losers structure. So, Rowie, do you want to start us off, mate? Who were the biggest winners coming out of round 4 of the AFL?
Well, I mean, I can't go past my mob. Under immense pressure for the first few weeks, or at least rounds 2 and 3. Going into round 4, there was nowhere to hide, as we put it last week. And the first 2.5 quarters, we looked gone, almost like the season was gone. And then to bounce back and play the way we did basically all of last year was phenomenal, and just shows that there is life in the team. And hopefully it wasn't just that quarter and a half. It's going to hopefully flow on to the next few weeks, because we've got some tough opponents, but definitely the Saints just sort of reignited the team. It's not just a comeback in round 12 of the season when you're sort of here and thereabouts. Like we really needed that to kickstart our season. I think all the fans know how important that was. So I've definitely got the Saints as a big winner. I'll go on to Melbourne as well. Think we all genuinely believe in them now. They're a genuine top 8 side after beating the Cats at the G in front of a big crowd on a big stage. So I think they've just sort of proven themselves once again that they're going to be up there, locked them into finals, or all but certainly locked them into finals. The Dogs as well, same case. Genuinely believe they're a top 8 and top 4 side now. They're looking unreal, and believe that there's more to them than just their elite midfield. I think the 3-pronged attack of English, Bruce, and Norton is just paying out massive dividends for them. It is exactly what they needed. So those are 3 main teams that I had. I think it was awesome weeks for all 3, and can't wait to watch them all again this weekend.
Yeah, do you reckon, as a St Kilda fan yourself, do you think it's just going to be similar to the 2020 season, or do you think the first few rounds were a true indication that you might not be the same team? What do you reckon?
I think the second half of that game on the weekends showed that I reckon we hopefully will be the same team. There's definitely signs of us being the same team. That fast-paced attack on the footy is exactly how we played last year, when we were playing well. For instance, in that elimination final against the Dogs. So I think we've got a lot of games under the roof at Marvel, and that's the perfect sort of ground atmosphere to apply that fast-paced, hard pressure. So I think it will be the same side as last year, in the same energy and all that. I don't know what happened those first, those 2 out of 3 weeks. I think, honestly, we just got a bit ahead of ourselves. We've obviously been touted as a potential top 4 team. We assumed we'd won before the balls bounced both of those games. So to come in as underdogs against the Eagles was probably helpful for us. And obviously, we really kickstarted the season the way we needed to. So hopefully we stick with this mindset that we're not going to win every week. We're not going to go into every game as favourites, that we have to be switched on from the start every week. So, yeah, I do think it will be roughly the same side as last year in terms of energy and all that. But yeah, fingers crossed it can carry on to the next weeks, because we've got some big challenges up ahead.
Yeah, don't you guys have Richmond this week?
Yeah, correct. Richmond Thursday night, and then I think your mob Pilch the week after at Adelaide. Yeah. So it's going to be a tough couple of weeks, but as we said last week, there's nowhere to hide, and it seemed to benefit us. So bring it on.
Yeah, think we'll definitely know over that next fortnight how good you guys are actually going to be. But yeah, Melbourne, Pilch, we'll get you to touch on them a little bit. Do you think Melbourne are the real deal and can go on and win a flag this year? Or do you think they're just going to be a finals, like a team that makes up the numbers in finals?
As we'll cover soon with our top 8, so I'm actually least convinced about them compared to Sydney and the Doggies at the moment. I'm not really sure why. I still don't think they have a complete side. Like, they're definitely better than they were last season, but I still think they're quite reliant on that midfield group with Gorney and Oliver and all that. But I guess we'll see. They should have another win this week against Hawthorn. So, I mean, it'll be hard not to make the 8 from 5-0.
Yeah, I think the only way, in my opinion, that they are, like, obviously don't want to bag them out because they've had an incredible start and D's fans should be over the moon. But I think the only way from here that they win the flag is if, like, Ben Brown comes back and he's in, like, prime Ben Brown form. I think that's what takes them to the next level because with him not in the side, their forward line's all right. It's not as bad as some of the other teams, but it's still not great. But yeah, the midfield core, and obviously they've got the best ruckman in the comp, and then they've got some pretty handy tall defenders. So yeah, but the forward line's definitely the weakness. But yeah, I probably have to agree with you there, Pilch. But as I mentioned, don't want to bring them down. They are flying high right now, the Ds. I'm going to get around the Bombers a little bit. They did lose, so don't get that mistaken. But for a team that was touted to come last by a lot of people, if not second last by everyone else, they obviously beat St Kilda and then they lost to the undefeated Sydney Swans by 3 points, came down to the last minute. After this week, they've got Brisbane, and then following that, they have Collingwood, Carlton, GWS, Fremantle, and North. So they have a very nice run of fixtures there. And all of a sudden, Essendon, by the end of that stretch, could have 3 or 4 wins. And that's, I would say, a very good first half of the season for the Dons. After the preseason from hell, basically, they lost a lot of good players. Everyone was really worried about how they were going to do. But they've had some blokes like Nick Cox, Nick Hind, Archie Perkins stand up and look like they're going to be good players in the future. Obviously, Jordan Ridley probably leading their best and fairest by a huge stretch right now. So I think even though they did lose that game, I think they've had a pretty good start to the year. Well, better than what people expected, especially after the first couple rounds. People were getting a little bit worried. So I think Essendon fans have got to be, well, they're not happy to be down. They're probably going to finish, 14th, 15th, something like that. So they're probably not that chuffed with it, but it's a lot better than what it was looking like in pre-season. So I think they're a big winner coming out of this week. Pilch, any other side you want to mention, maybe your own team?
No, I just had the Saints in Melbourne. I was especially impressed with the fact that the Saints didn't drop their heads when they were down by 5-6 goals in the third quarter, especially after quite a poor start to the year. Showed a lot of character and showed that they will be contenders this season. So yeah. I'm high on them again.
Yeah, completely agree with you. I'm excited to see how they go against Richmond and Port in the coming weeks.
Yeah, I'm very nervous about that one because they came to Adelaide last season, touched us up as underdogs. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah,
I can't call the phrase touched us up.
Yeah, mate. Hopefully Ryder's not back yet. Otherwise, we're in serious trouble because he dominated that game.
He might be this week, actually. So
fuck, yeah. and Butters and Dersma are out, so...
Yeah. We'll see.
I can't cop the phrase, touch us up, mate. I love it. It sounds so cooked. All right, moving on to the losers then, because it sounds like we touched on all the winners. I'm going to start with... That was not intended. I'm going to start with the Gold Coast Suns. They went down to Carlton. Rowie, did you boys end up going to that game?
We certainly did, yeah.
Did you have a big night or?
No. We'd had a couple of big nights before, so it was a low key one that night. We got very good seats actually. It was sort of front row on the second level, just on the flank at Gold Coast's end. So it was on the side of the ground that actually has like most of the people. So it was a good atmosphere, but it was funnily enough, predominantly Carlton fans there. So, it was funny being at Metricon and, the whole crowd is Carlton. But, I haven't been to an interstate game before, so that was pretty sick. But yeah, it was a scrappy game. The quality wasn't fantastic, but it was close. So that's all us neutrals needed.
Yeah, exactly. And the Suns were underdogs going into it, but I actually tipped them as upset of the week last podcast. And to me, it just looks like they've made basically no, if not gone backwards from last year's season, which is a worry, considering how young their list is. I thought a Carlton side that, yes, they pumped Freo, but had a disappointing first 2 rounds. I thought they could have shocked them at home. I think if the Suns were to push for top 8 this year, they'd probably need to make the most of their home field advantage. Teams have got to travel to a humid climate and stuff like that. I think that's something down the track that they'll look at as making that a fortress. But yeah, this season, it's been a very disappointing start, I have to say. I don't think many people are actually touching on it. Considering how good their start was last season, I thought they were going to come out of the blocks well this year, and they've started basically. And yeah, I'm worried about them, and I think they're going to really have to lift their act over the next month or so and try and get a few upsets, because if they keep this up, I reckon Stewie Jew could be in a little bit of trouble come the end of the year, because for a club that's as young as they are, they need to at least show signs of progression, because it looks like it's stalled a little bit. All right, Rosif, any other losers you want to touch on?
Yeah, I've got a couple of teams here which I've written in brackets worry. So one of them is the Cats. It was another disappointing week for them. But more so given the talent of their list. The way they're losing just isn't attractive. I think we all went into the season thinking they've got the best list in the comp, on paper. Like that side should be losing a couple of games max for the year. And, to have these disappointing performances against Adelaide and Melbourne, it's not looking great for them. The game style, obviously doesn't suit them, which everyone's touching on. But yeah, it's just I know they've got a couple of injuries at the moment. They've got Danger out. They've got a couple of others out. But at the same time, it's not great for the confidence going in, because they, for the first time in a long time, the Cats players will be thinking, shit, we could be finishing down the order of the 8. But we have to play like an elimination final first week, or imagine if they started thinking, shit, what if we don't actually make the final? So it's not great for them at the moment. I still think they'll bounce back, because given the talent of that list, but it hasn't made a good start for them. But the one I'm more worried about are the Lions. Obviously got beaten or touched up again on the weekend by the Dogs. I think we as we spoke on the last episode, like how many you say you just don't really rate them, and I'm really starting not to either. I look at the list, and you got Neil in there who's not having a fantastic year. Not the midfielder that's going to take him all the way. They've got the blokes in there like Lyons and all that, and Jared Berry and all this, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like it has the right firepower that a powerhouse team needs. Like these teams like Port and Richmond and all that. So, I'm worried about the Lions. I'm worried, starting to worry for their top 8 chances as well. So, it'll be interesting to see how those two teams play this week and if they can bounce back. But yeah, on to your losers.
Pilch, who do you have?
Yeah, definitely Brizzy. Starting to get very worried about them. If they dish up another shit loss, then I'll probably move them out of my top 8. But also the Pies, I think their loss was pretty disgraceful to the Giants at home, losing by 5 goals to an 0-3 team. Just not pretty, and they've got huge worry signs around them.
Yeah, and
for the future as well.
Yeah, it's 100% true. Like, especially in and around that we were predicting them to be in and around that 8th spot, and considering teams like Melbourne and Sydney have come from the clouds, and teams like the Dogs, who were sort of in and around there, and some people's predictions have come out a lot stronger than people were potentially expecting. Yeah, it's looking really worrying for them. They're looking like a wild outside chance now to make finals. They're just too inconsistent, I think. Every second week, it just looks like a completely different side is rocked up. And yeah, that's it. Like, I don't know how much the media ripped into them, but losing to that GWS team by 30, who'd had like their three three of their best players get injured the week before. It's pretty embarrassing, really, for Collingwood, and certainly worried for them. Well, actually, not really. I don't really care about them. But worried for Buckley. Like, there was obviously all the talk about him resigning at the end of the year, and who knows, it might not end up being his decision if they keep this form up. All right, moving on to your predicted top eights, boys. We might start with Pilch this week. Do you want to run us through who you think is making the finals at this point in the season?
Yep. So I had a few changes. I've still got Port first.
No, they did beat Richmond, so that's fair enough, mate. Fair enough.
I've still got Geelong second. I just think they're still the regular season masters, and they're going to get on a roll very soon and just start winning games. Danger and Cameron to come back in as well. So I've still got them second. I got Richmond third, Bulldogs fourth into the top four. I'm officially sold on them after their easy dispatching of Brisbane. West Coast fifth, Saints sixth, Sydney seventh, and Brizzy still in the eight. So no Melbourne, which might be controversial.
There's some bloody good teams this year. To have Melbourne missing out, like, it's a strong eight. Can't fault you there. Rowie, who have you got in your top eight, mate?
I've actually got Port up there as well. I think that loss against the Eagles was their only blemish, and I mean, not many teams are going to go up to stadium and knock over West Coast, so I'm not going to read much into that one. So I've got Port first. I've got the Tigers second, just because these powerhouse. There's basically no like powerhouse team this year, which is great. It's a much more even spread, I think, up the top. I've actually got the Doggies at third. I've jumped them right up. They're always, as we look at previous years, the top four is never the same. There's always one or two changes. So I reckon the Doggies will be that change. I reckon this new attack that they've got of like English and Bruce and Norton is really just what they needed. I think their key defensive stocks are now right. So, and obviously their midfield's unbelievable. That inclusion of Stephen Martin's really helped them. So I've got them jumping up into third. I agree. I think the Cats will bounce back and get on the roll. They obviously do have Higgins and Danger and Jeremy Cameron to come back. It's got to be soon that they get on this roll, but I think they will. So I've got them in at fourth. I've got the Eagles at fifth. I'm tossing up who to pick between fourth and fifth, the Cats and the Eagles, but I'll stick with the Cats for now. Just because the Eagles have a few injuries in that midfield, and was probably one of the reasons why they sort of choked up against us on the weekend, missing Yo and Shuey and all that. At six, I've got Melbourne. I don't know. I just reckon they'll make it this year. Bailey Fritsch is looking like a new player, and I reckon when Ben Brown comes back, I reckon he will be very handy for them. I think the new rules suit him. He can, lead out and everything. That they'll just put it into his hands. I've got Sydney at seventh, and I'm finish off the eight with the Saints at the moment. I'm trying not to be too optimistic, but I've got us back in there, but I'm not going to put us higher as of yet. Our draw is very, very tough. But yeah, I'm going to actually leave out the Lions now and the Blues. I'm just starting to really not rate the Lions. Like we've said before, Hammer, I reckon if they lost Harris Andrews, they'd be really scrambling down the back end of that ground. Or if they lost, Lockie Neal, I reckon it'd be the same case in the midfield. And really, if they lost any of their key position forwards, they'd be the same. I think they're a couple more serious injuries away from really sort of crumbling and bristling away. So that's my top eight.
Yeah, very good points made by the pair of you. Impromptu question, I just thought of it when Pilch was talking. If you boys, out of your top eight right now, if you could pick a dream grand final matchup, excluding your own sides, who would you like to see face off in September? Obviously, this is a long way out, so teams' form could change and stuff. But Pilch, who would you like to see face off in September?
I'm going to have to say Saints v Sydney. Rowie will love that answer, but Saints v Sydney.
Rowie, what about you?
I'd love that. I'd have to say Dogs v Port. I reckon that'd be an awesome battle. I not much really needs to be said. The second you said that, I just thought straight away Dogs, because I'm loving their year this year so far and how they've transformed it. And I just had to pick one other contender, and straight away I thought Eagles, but I don't know, a bit sick of them.
I'm sick of the Eagles.
Yeah, exactly. Sydney would be awesome, but I think they'd be too young to win it this year. Melbourne, don't really like them. Tigers obviously sick of them. So I reckon Port, given haven't seen him in finals or in grand final for obviously ages, I reckon that'd be awesome.
Saints and Swans probably wouldn't be the highest quality matchup.
No, exactly.
Out of the top 8, but they're probably my next two favorite teams. So.
The pressure would be elite.
Probably not a grand final, but yeah.
Yeah, there's some serious myths on that pitch. No, it would be good to watch.
Harry Cunningham.
Yeah, mate, he's a jet. Don't disrespect.
Big D-Mac running down the wing. Daniel McKenzie.
Oh, my God. I'm probably going to go the Dogs of Richmond. I know we've seen enough of Richmond, but I just think it would be fitting if Richmond, sort of hand the crown over. I think it would be a bit disappointing if, they lose to Port or West Coast at their grounds, and then the winner of that loses the granny, because then the winner hasn't really beaten Richmond. And I just think it would be good if someone to beat Richmond at the G, because then they're kind of handing over the keys to the castle.
I like that. That's true.
So I'm going to say Dogs to beat Richmond would be my favourite outcome right now. But that Dogs Port final sounds very good. I'd like to buy a ticket to that one.
I'd love to see the Port crowd get down to the G.
Yeah, that's actually the buses.
I reckon. I know. I reckon that'd be sick, because obviously Dogs aren't the biggest fan base in Victoria, and obviously Port aren't a Victorian team. So I reckon that'd be an awesome, almost 50-50 crowd. I reckon that'd be so cool.
Yeah,
and I reckon this year could well and truly be the year for it.
Yeah, if it was at Marvel, I'm going Dog Saints, but I'd like to see Dog Saint at Marvel, but MCG changes it for me. All right, we only came up with this segment about 2 hours ago, but I have to tell you, I very much enjoyed doing it. Me, Pilch, and James Curtis, who's been on the podcast before, we were talking about this over the weekend. Were we comparing Butters and Bailey Smith? I can't remember what we were doing.
Walsh,
Oh, yeah, that's right. But today what we're going to do is we're going to redraft the top 10 of the 2018 AFL draft, commonly referred to as the Super Draft. Well, the modern Super Draft. What was the other Super Draft, 2003 or something? There's one of those ones they call the Super Draft. I don't know which one it was. But, yeah, this one now has got to be known as the Super Draft because it's that good. So we've gone through. We haven't reordered the top 10. We've just picked our top 10 if we were going to do it. Now, with the hindsight that we have excluded the rookie draft because that gets too confusing. And we've also banned mature age recruits. Sorry to Nick Hind, because he would have probably been a mine, to be honest. But so, Pilch, you can start us off, mate. A lot of Port flavour to this top 10, so we'll let you go on about that and try and keep it downstairs. Don't want to be pitching up a tent, mate. But who are you drafting and where are you drafting them in the top 10?
Do you want me to reel off my whole top 10?
Go 10-1, actually, to spice it up. But yeah.
Right. Okay. Number 10, I've got James Robottom from the Swans. Exciting young midfielder. Looks like a gun. Number 9, hasn't really... I mean, he's shown excitement, but hasn't lit the world on fire. But we know he's talented, and that's Isaac Rankin. Number 8, Jack Lukosius. Might be a bit stiff, but... Number 7, Xavier Dersma. First member of the Port Boys. Number 6... Number 6, Connor Rosie, which isn't actually too high, so I'm proud of myself for...
Did he go number 6?
Putting him down 6. He went 5.
Okay.
So I've actually dropped him down 1, which is...
I've dropped him as well.
Quite proud of myself for doing that. Number 5, I got Baz Lenkar. Number 4, Ben King. Number 3, Max King, just based on the key forward potential. And then... I'll go number 1. Or should I go 2?
Go number 1.
Right. Number 1, I've got my boy, Zach Butters.
Oh, you are a gib.
You can call me biased, but in my opinion, he has been the best player in this draft this season and last season. A lot of people would say Walsh, but Butters was the one who made the All-Australian squad, and he's gone next level again this season. That first quarter against Richmond on Friday night was just insane. Probably the best individual quarter of footy by anyone this season. But unfortunately, he's done his ankle. But yeah, I've put him at 1 over Walsh. Walsh at 2.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about that quarter. Nothing on JPK's fourth quarter against Richmond at the G. Circa, what year was that? 2016, 17? Put the boys on the back. Nah, the best quarter I've seen is actually Alex Ranch. Was it the same game?
It was the same
quarter. He was defending 5 blokes at once.
Actually, I don't know. It might have been the third quarter.
That was like just before he lost his ability and just started flopping around the joint. But yeah, he was sick that game. Anyway, that has absolutely no context to anyone else apart from us. All right, Rowie, do you want to go 10 to 1, mate?
Will do. I'll list off my 10 and I'll list off some honourable mentions. At number 10, I've actually got all the way down to pick 64. I've got Lachlan Scholl. I've picked him just ahead of Robottom, given I think it's harder to find a player of Scholl's ability and quality than Robottom. I think obviously Scholl's one of the best sort of rebounding defenders, wingers in the game. Obviously one of the best kicks, or will be one of the best kicks. He's finding 30 odd possessions now, so I think it's unreal for someone that's got the weirdest body type I've ever seen. Like, he's really sort of skinny and wiry, and his head's like shrunken down to his shoulders. But I don't know, he's a gun. At number 9, I've got the bow and arrow Durs. I loved what I saw in his first season. Obviously, he's had a bit of injury and maybe a tiny bit of form slump since then. But apart from that, I think he's a gun. I think he will be a gun. Just want to see more bow and arrows from him. At number 8, Rankin. I agree with you, Pilch. Just, I think we already know what he's like and what he could potentially be. So, he's one of the most, if not the most exciting player to watch in the AFL when he's on. So I've got him in at 8. When he's older, he's going to get that consistency and he's going to be unreal to watch. So at 7, I've got Jack Lukosius. I really rate the picking a quality tall in a draft, because they're like quality mids are a bit easier to find. Quality talls are a lot harder to find, but he hasn't quite found his position yet. He's a bit of a swingman at the moment. At number 6, I've also got Connor Rosie. Reckon it would have been higher if he had played a couple of full seasons. Obviously, he's a bit hit by injuries at the moment, but he's obviously a genuine star, and when he moves into that midfield, it's going to be awesome. Number 5, I've got Baz Lenker. The man that can't shrug off one of my Year 9 tackles. But anyway, so I've got him in at 5. But yeah, for anyone that didn't know, I pinged him for holding the ball, playing on the Fisher Oval about 9 a.m. on a Saturday morning for Haileybury. Just we had no right to be playing them as well. I think we were the C's and they were the A's. But anyway, pick 4. Pick 4 of, sorry, Pilge. Pick 4, I've got Zach Butters. I haven't quite got against that 3. I think he will be very soon. And don't get me wrong, he's a gun. I think we're all starting to realise just how good he is. I think being a Port fan, haven't noticed him as much as maybe you lot. Number 3, I've got Walshy. Obviously, just the star of the comp, regularly gets sort of 25, 30 touches and just runs his heart out. So as you've probably noticed, I've got 2 very tall blokes who I haven't mentioned yet. But a bit of, I don't know, probably not St Kilda bias, probably more St Kilda logic. I've got Max King in at 1. I think he's showing the capabilities. He's going to be not just like one of the best tall forwards in the comp, but one of the most sort of freakish plays in the comp. I mean, we've seen how sort of agile and quick he can be. I think on the weekend he dropped it was a big pack mark of 4 people. I think it was his first goal in the first quarter. He unfortunately dropped the mark, but quickly crumbed his own work. Flew up, dribbled it in. You wouldn't see a big solid tall forward maybe doing that. They wouldn't have the speed or anything like that. But I think Max King is going to be, he's obviously got the speed of a midfielder. He's got the kick of, a solid rebounding halfback, and just the hands of, well, I want to say something, but probably isn't appropriate. But I've got Ben King obviously at 2. I think he's obviously a gun as well, but I think we've got to pick Max ahead of him. I think Max will be slightly better, as I think a few people obviously picked in junior years. That's why Max went a couple ahead. But definitely can't go past the King boys at 1 and 2. I think to find players, like to find tall forwards that you are near enough certain they're going to be incredible, you have to go 1 and 2. I think in previous years, like people like Josh Shackey and all that, who like there were a bit of concerns over like their toughness and stuff as an AFL player. Paddy McCartan had some issues, obviously, with his diabetes weren't really an issue, but just sort of like fitness and all that before his draft year. I think the Kings, we saw no issues whatsoever. So I think when those opportunities come, you've got to take them as high as possible. So that's why in the redraft I've got him at 1 and 2. But honourable mentions are obviously Robottom and Isaac Quainer as well. I think deserves to be in there, along with sort of Jordan Clark and Taron Thomas and all that. So yeah,
Boyd Woodcock.
Yeah.
Boyd Horsecock. Yeah. He's in there.
He's probably going to get a game this week.
Was he mature age or is he generally?
No, he's our age.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Boyd Horsecock. I'm gone.
I picked him in his last year. I had to pick like a rookie to pick up, and it was a Thursday night game. I think his first game was, and I didn't know any other rookies were going to play. And Horsecock was named, so I had to jump the gun and pick him in his first week. So every time, I don't know who you're playing. I think it might have. Who was it? It was at Adelaide Oval.
It was the Doggies, I think.
Doggies, yeah. I just remember every time he got the ball, because I think I also had him in a multi. And I would just shout out on the group chat, just Horsecock in capital letters. I don't know why that nickname came to mind, but it was, I don't know, I just went with it.
Have you seen their YouTube channel, Rowie?
No, I haven't.
They was it only last year, Pilch? They had like a fortnight YouTube channel. Was Connor Rosie the host, or like did he run it?
Oh, it was just the AFL Gamers Network, but Rosie, Butters, and Woodcock did like a weekly streams on it with Fortnite. I used to tune in.
Yeah, they were.
And it was literally just Rosie and Butters just bullying Woodcock, like genuine cyberbullying.
Oh my god,
that's great.
All right, moving on to my top 10 honourable mentions. Go to Lockie Scholl, as Roy mentioned, deserved.
Yeah,
he got the Rising Star this week, didn't he?
Second time in his career, yeah.
Yeah, fair play to him. They said it's like this esteemed list who's done it. And I actually saw the list and I'll be honest, didn't know half of them.
Not esteemed.
Yeah, I was a bit confused.
Just the list.
Yeah. I've actually left out 1 and 2. Oh no, 2 and 3, not 1 and 2. I forgot 1. Lukosius and Rankin, I've left them out as honourable mentions. I just think Lukosius, if he was a legit tall forward or tall defender, I'd probably have him in the top 10. As we've mentioned, the Kings, obviously, key positions are tough to find. But yeah, as you mentioned, Roy, hasn't really found his spot. Found himself on the wing, found himself off the halfback flank. So I'm going to leave him out. And then Rankin, yeah, he's very skillful, but I just think the players in here are better. All right, number 10, I'm going Isaac Quaynor. I think he went number 12 or something like that. Number 13 it was. I think he's just been a pretty reliable player since he's come in. I reckon he's one of those guys who you can just pencil him in for 200 games off the halfback. He's probably not going to ever make like an All-Australian side or something like that, but and he's probably not going to win too many best-ons like probably a Rankin will, but I just think he's going to be very reliable over his career. Number 9, controversial because statistically he's nowhere near the rest of these guys, but just the fact that he's getting regular games at a really good team. I've gone Jordan Clark. I think it may be a little bit to his downfall like Baz Lenker, that they're part of a really good side, so they probably see less footy than they would if they were at like a Sydney or a Gold Coast. But yeah, I think Jordan Clark's my number 9. I've gone Rosie at 8. Yeah, it's probably stiff, but he has had his injury issues, and it's obviously a very good list. I've gone Baz Lenker at number 7. As I mentioned, probably stiff that he plays in the best midfield in the comp, so he has to really fight hard for his footy, but I've got him at 7. I've actually got James Robottom at number 6. I know that's controversial, but my algorithm for my Brownlow votes absolutely loves his work in the clearance. So I've gone Robottom at 6. I've gone Dersmer at 5 just because I think his position is a little bit harder to find. I think inside mids, yes, it's very crucial, but they're a little bit more common than a classy outside player like Dersmer. But I've got Butters at number 4. Yes, it was tough to put him there as someone who's watched Port games closer than others. You know how good he is, but I've got him at 4. Then 3, got to have Walsh, absolute beast. And then the Kings, I'll be honest, I had no idea which one to go with, 1 or 2. I looked at their average goals per game. It's basically the exact same. But I don't know why. I just remember Ben playing defense at school footy, I think. So I've gone, maybe he's a little bit more versatile, but realistically, they're pretty similar players. And if I want to see Ben, the amount of times Ben has kicked like the second or third goal in the game, he is an absolute beast.
Specialist. Yeah.
He's a beast in the first 10 minutes. I think I saw once he kicked like 3 or 4 in the first quarter and didn't kick another for the rest of the game. I think I saw that last year. But yeah, Max 2, Ben 1. But yeah, obviously both absolute freaks in positions that it's hard to find. So I think they're rightly 1 and 2. All right, so that was interesting. Probably we'll do a lot more of those moving forward because they're interesting debates. All right, players of the week. We've changed it up rather than doing a defender, a midfielder, a forward, a ruck. We're just going to do our top 3 and also a rookie of the week. So, Rowie, do you want to hit us with your best 3 players of the week?
Will do. I've actually got my man at the 3rd best player of the week in Lachie Sholl. They were playing North, but I think it was his 12th game. 31 touches, 25 of those were kicks. So they obviously want the ball in his hands. They trust him with that. Also snagged a goal at the end of the game. So actually in quite a crucial part of the game. So I think the fact that he had that responsibility and was able to execute it perfectly, because I think, his kicking efficiency was really high. He just laces out his teammates. I thought it was really good for them. Might be a bit of, sort of bias around the hype of the youngsters, but I think it was unbelievable for them. And number 2, I've got Christian Patriarcha, 36 touches, 2 goals. Speaks for itself. Led from the middle in the D's win against the Cats, which was obviously a big test for him. So I think coming out with those stats really just shows how he led the team through the middle to get that win alongside like Clayton Oliver and Maxi Gawn. But, to get those 2 goals as well, I think it was just an unbelievable performance from them. They couldn't have done it without him. At number 1, I've got Toby Green. Now, so his stats were 5 goals and 18 touches, which were obviously unbelievable, but it was a standing captain for this week for a team that was 0-3 and in a disastrous phase, a disastrous start for the year. So as a stand-in captain to lead the way in Melbourne, which they've obviously never had good history in front of a crowd of, probably zero of their own fans. Standing captain to kick 5 goals, 18 touches, just lead from the front, topple over Collingwood, who obviously they were actually my short bet of the week, which seems silly looking back at it. I think I've got every short bet of the week wrong and every betting line spread wrong, which is fantastic from me. But to lead from the front like that as the stand-in captain and just had the game he did, and then not turn their season around, but like get the win that they needed to maybe kickstart a couple or more. I was absolutely awesome from him. So it's not just a stats point of view that he's my number 1. It's the fact, the position of the club, and just how he was just the standing captain basically, and he was able to bring up a performance like that. Honourable mentions go to Jackie Steele. See another phenomenal game from him. Luke Parker, Tim English, Nat Fyfe, and actually Lachie Ash as well. So that'll be my top 3 for the week. It's awesome to have a bit of variety in there with sort of Sholl and Green and Patriarcha, who haven't been in any of my top 3s this year. So, yeah.
Very fair picks. Pilch, who are your top 3 players of the week?
Bronze medal, I've got Toby Green. Shouldn't really be getting you. But...
How's the bronze medal got me? That's not even funny, but play on.
Silver medal this week, Christian Patriarcha, put on an absolute clinic against Geelong. And then I've actually given, this is probably biased to my SuperCoach team, but I've given the gold medal to Lukey Parker this week. Absolutely dominated that game, and especially the last quarter. If you took him out of the game, Bombers would have won, plain and simple. So I've given him gold. And I want to give an honourable mention shout out to Aliria. But just absolute Richmond bombardment into our defensive 50 in the last quarter. and he took about 4 intercept marks, 5 spoils in that quarter alone, kept us alive. So well done to him. And 23 disposals, not bad for a key defender.
Yeah, very fair choices. My number 3 will be Sam Doherty. In part of the big reason why they beat Gold Coast back to his best. I heard a podcast today say, I don't know what his first name is. I think it's Luke Parks, but his defensive roles allowed Doherty to free himself up in his rebounding role. So he was really good. I've got Green, my number 2, absolutely freak performance. Basically backed it up really. Had a really good performance the week before as well. Was going to get him in SuperCoach. My algorithm for SuperCoach was suggesting to grab him. Didn't back it in, which hurts because that would have been a super pod. But anyway, and then number 1, I've gone with Adam Treloar. I judged him best of field in that Doggies Lions mega clash up at Ballarat. He had the most contested possessions in the game, was awesome in terms of pressure acts and tackles, had a lot of inside 50s, and he was probably the pick of the bunch ahead of blokes like McRae, who also had really good games in that stacked midfield. So yeah, Treloar has had a brilliant start to his time in the red, white and blue of the Bulldogs. All right, moving into Rookie of the Week. Don't know if you boys are just going to, well, Roe, you had him in your top 3, so I assume you're going with Shoal, but I'm going someone else. I'm going Tom Powell. Sadly, I benched him for SuperCoach because he turned up, which was not ideal. He just missed out on the votes for me in that North Melbourne Adelaide game, but I had him as the 6th best in that match, 2nd best for North. Any rookie who's the 2nd best player for their team in a game, that's a pretty good performance. He had the most pressure acts and tackles out of anyone, which is pretty good from someone like you'd expect that from like a really small forward, really quick guy, but he's a inside. Well, he was kind of an outside midfielder, but you know what I mean. He gets in the guts, so that was good to see him doing the hard work there, and he just had really well-rounded stats in pretty much every other category. So everyone was loving him for his SuperCoach ton because most people had him on their field, but I didn't, so I was a little bit mad. But yeah, I'll give him the Rookie of the Week this week. So yeah, fair play, Tom Powell, and I probably won't be benching him ever again. And he'll probably just give me 40s, but that's okay. I'm willing to cop that. Rowie, I assume Shoal's your Rookie of the Week?
Yeah, Shoal's the Rookie of the Week. Can't go past his performance. Tommy Powell's obviously a very good shout, and Nick Cox was obviously really good for the Bombers. I was thinking on the podcast it would probably be Nick Cox the Rookie of the Week when they were playing, but then obviously Shoal came out with his massive performance and got a 2nd Rising Star nom in his career. Just a little hunched over bloke, was able to deliver 31 touches and was the main distributor on the ground.
Yeah. Pilch, Rookie of the Week. Do you have one?
Lockie Jones. I got Lockie Shoal. Definitely.
Yeah, fair. People are frothing Lockie Jones' performance. So
mate, he looked so
wouldn't
good.
Be outrageous.
Yeah. But
you can't. Is he a lock to stay in your team, Pilch?
Yeah.
He
is now. Yeah.
Is that some SuperCoach research I'm seeing? Some SuperCoach groundwork?
He is, yeah.
He looked very comfortable and very tough. So he'll definitely stay in.
Yeah, I was watching the game, but I couldn't really see, if you know what I mean. So I didn't really notice his performance. So it's good to hear that.
I just clocked on what you meant. You couldn't see. Took me a while working out. It was like blurry TV or something, but blurry eyes. Yeah, gotcha. All right. Speaking of SuperCoach, Rowie, can you tell your boys to bloody get Tom Highmore in the 22 this week?
Mate,
I need that. I need that price rise. I'm sick of it.
I know. He's one game away from going up like 70k. The other one I think most people's benches is Kajitski. He's like 140.
Yeah, I traded that bloke. Fucking awful footballer. But
I was going to trade him to Giath, but didn't do it. I'm regretting that one.
I got Chapman in 15 minutes before the first one.
I hate Chapman.
Yeah. But I tell you what, if Highmore comes back, I've got an absolute selection dilemma at my D6. I've got Jack Buckley, biggest myth in the AFL, but he has put up 2 80-plus scores in a row. Then I've got Chapman, and then I'd have Highmore. It'd legit be tough to know who to start. And I'd inevitably get it wrong. But we are moving on to our SuperCoach chat. Normally, we haven't brought this to the table. We touched on it a little bit last week, but not sure if I'm going to have a SuperCoach episode of the podcast weekly. I might look at it, especially in the uni holidays. But for now, we're just going to be touching it through our AFL So, Pilch, do you want to start us off, mate? You have had an incredible start to the season. I think you're in the top 20 for Port Adelaide fans across the country.
As you pointed out to me.
Yeah. That sounds arrogant, but I did point that out to you because I've been following your progress. Do you want to chat about how you went this week and who absolutely killed it for you and who stunk up the gaff?
Yep, sure thing. I'll start by saying it's good to get some external recognition for my early efforts, but
no worries, mate.
It is a marathon, so I need to stay on top of my game to finish in the top 1K. But basically, I've kind of just nailed all my premium pods, as you also pointed out to me, Hamish. I started Ridley, Parker, Butters, Callum Mills, and they've kind of all just been killing it. Scored 2-2-2-5 this week, which was pretty decent, and teams in good steed for the future.
Yeah,
not really too much else to add, to be honest.
Yeah,
I do have to trade Butters though.
Yeah, that hurts. It's all pretty bright for you at the moment. Rowie, how's your SuperCoach side going?
Not as good as Pilch. Had an okay-ish start. I think I'm in the 3,000 mark somewhere, so I've got a bit of a way to go. But started like every week. I've got the captaincy right. I got the rookie roulette right up until this week when I fielded James Jordan and Sam Berry over Tom Powell. So they both of those guys obviously combined for 75, and Powell got 101 on his own. So that wasn't fantastic. But got the captaincy right in McRae, so it's good to get those captaincies right. But that Powell one's going to hurt me. And also Caleb Daniel, a 19, stunk it up. My mate, it's Tyler, who I brought up a little message that he sent me. Well, he sent me in like the preseason rounds. I was like, look, who do I get, Ridley or Daniel? Like, I'm just stuck. And he said Daniel. It wasn't just like close, but Daniel. He said Daniel 100%. I thought, shit, all right. Ridley's obviously gone on to, I think he's the highest scoring player in the comp so far, and Caleb Daniel scored 19. I think he's averaging the 70s. Almost doesn't look like he's in their best 22, and I'm doing that trade this week, Daniel to Ridley. So it's looking all right-ish. Hopefully you're going to bounce back this week. I think it's great to have these big prices perform, like Zeeble and Impey and all that, and Chad Warner are really sort of making the forward line. Not really, don't have to look at it yet. It's really just this midfield and hopefully upgrading Jordan Clark next week that I've got to deal with. But
yeah, mate, he sucks.
SuperCoach. I can't wait to get rid of him.
He just gets 70.
Yeah. And that's like with a goal. Like if he wasn't getting like a little cheapy, like he'd be getting these 40s, which I reckon he will probably this week.
Yeah, boys. It's a completely different story down this end of the table. I've had one of the all-time worst starts to a SuperCoach season. I was looking back on my glory days in 2019. I was in the top 10K for pretty much the whole year. I was just reminiscing on the good times. And I'm embarrassed to say it, but I'm ranked about 82,000. Like, how is there 82,000 people better at this game than me with the amount of effort I put in? It's embarrassing. I've just had, all jokes aside, like every call I've made has gone the other way. Like, so we'll look at the side this week. I had Caleb Daniel 19. A lot of people copped that. Similar to you, Rowie, copped Jordan and Berry, and then I've decided to trade in Brodie Grundy. I started without Grundy and Gawn, which ended up being a really bad decision, but I knew that was a risky one. But brought Grundy in, thought, all right, beautiful. Now I've just got to set and forget ruck, and he pumps out, well, at one point it looked like an 80. I think he got scaled up to like a 90, but he gave away about 6 free kicks, and I think he had like 6 clangers, so cheers for that. He was also my captain, which was beautiful to cop that. I don't know if I've had a captain go over 200 yet, which is in terms of their score doubled, because I did Dusty last week. I think I did Titch one week and he did crap. My forward line, I had 1 ton. It's been rancid. Zorko, I'll tell you what, that bloke, he's done this his whole career, so I can't really say it's come out of nowhere, but I was looking at it today. In 3 of the games, he's had I think he had 4, 5, and 6 frees against. So he's legit just throwing away tons.
Yeah.
Like that's like 25, 30 points right there. So cheers for that, mate. But yeah, it's tough right now. But the good thing about being 80th, it's pretty hard to go any lower because the rest of the teams below me have probably stopped playing. So I should start to rise, whether it be just to 75,000. I'll cop that though at this point. All right, talking about who we're thinking of trading, and I'll start with myself. Obviously, there's a lot of issues in my side. Now, the tough decision, I reckon, this week is Braden Campbell. He's probably going to go down a little bit in price this week, but then people reckon he's going to increase the following 3 weeks because I think he had a really bad score in there, which will get kicked out of his break-even calculation. So I'm not sure whether to trade him out. I'm probably going to keep him at the moment, but yeah, I've got to probably pull the pin on Caleb Daniel. I know some people are holding him and being patient, but with the spot I'm in, I don't think I can cop a premium on the Pine or an underperforming premium at that. So I think I'm going to trade him out. Not sure who to bring in. I really like the look of Waterman, the minimum price rookie. It's obviously pretty handy to have any minimum price player who plays, but someone who's not going to get 20s. That's pretty much gold in the SuperCoach language. So I've got to get him in, but obviously Daniel to a forward doesn't work. So I'm going to have to do a second trade there somewhere. Not sure what I think about Luke Parks, if that's his name yet again. It sounds like I'm just making up a nickname for Luke Parker, but
I keep thinking you're saying Luke Parker.
But yeah, Parks from Carlton. I don't know what his job security is, but same situation. A bit of a pod I'm thinking of bringing in, though, is Hugh Greenwood. I think he had about 160 or something tagging Cripper on, was it Saturday night, Friday night?
He was good.
And he's had a really good start to the year. He averages, I think, over his last 5 games, if you work out the median for his tackles, it's 10, which is 40 points from tackles alone. So he's basically just got to have a mid-price level game from then on to ton up. So he could be finding himself in the Hugh Janus midfield coming up this week, but also probably got to have a look at Ridley because he's unignorable at this point. Pilch, are we looking at bringing into your God squad, mate? It's a nerve-wracking time making trades in the top 1K, but who are you looking at?
Yeah, so I've got 200-ish K in the bank, so Butters is gone, and I can pretty much get anyone I want, but I'm probably either going Laird or one of the elite mids, looking at Patriarcha, Titch, Merritt, one of those types. Not sure I'm going to pay up for Steele because I think those other guys are just as good for 80K less. And then probably Waterman for James Jordan maybe. I'm probably going to keep Braden Campbell as you just highlighted because he's got talent and that 29's coming out next week, so he's got a bit more money to make.
Yeah, forgot to mention it actually, but shout out to Jai Simpkin for having zero composure. If he had a FIFA card, he'd legit have zero composure. He always gets the ball, he's steaming in, looking at an inside 50 target, and he just chops it to the top of the square. That was pretty frustrating to watch because he could have easily, I think he had 30 possessions for 80 points or something like that. It was tough to look at, but Rowie, who are your trade targets, mate?
Well, I've got the Daniel issue. I was sort of tossing up in my head. Do I not? What do I do? Especially with Lewis getting a week. I think Cozzy's going to probably come back in for the Hawks. I've got colour. And I just woke up, I think it was yesterday morning. I just said to myself, get him the fuck out. So I'm going him out. I'm just going to go him to Ridley. Just got to have Ridley, I think. Too many years I refuse. I don't do these type of trades, which I know you should never really trade out primos, but I don't know. I'm too reluctant to make big moves to get these players that you need to have. So I'm doing that. I've actually got the cash to do that by itself, but I've got to get You've got to get Waterman obviously for a bit of cash. So it'll be one of James Jordan, McNeil, or Anthony Scott, or even Tyler Brockman or Harrison Jones. Whoever gets dropped out of those guys, and whoever. It'll probably be James Jordan because he's at 200. So I have a feeling I'll do that. And that little cash grab will allow me to next week upgrade Jordan Clark to a Jack Bowes or maybe Jade Short, which will fix my defence. So I'll have 5 primos and a Heath Chapman. But yeah, Pilch, I don't recommend getting Merritt or Titch. They're the most frustrating players ever.
Do you have them both?
having both. First week, I went Danger to Titch, and I don't know, Titch is so frustrating. He got like 38 touches on the weekend for 107. He's just so rarely he's going to get that 130 odd. He's never going to really go over 130. And Zach Merritt, I don't know. I've never had Merritt before. This is the first year I've had him, and he's just, I'm not liking it right now. But yeah, apart from that, it's looking all right. I think definitely hold Braden Campbell. I think obviously that break-even calculation is going to get that 20 out of there. And plus the fact that I think people forget that rookies, when they like close their break-even, they're only one score away from, plummeting that break-even right down. Yeah. And Campbell plays off the halfback. He's in their best 22. Starts on the field. Like, he's probably going to play 22 games if he doesn't get injured or tired. So I think he's the least of my worries at the moment. He can easily pump out a 70 or 80 off the back flank or 100 like he did in round one. So if he does that, that just generates another 80-odd K of cash. So definitely keeping him. Not sure why people are jumping the gun to trade him out. But apart from that, it's looking all right. Just shout out Chad Warner, who's just probably going to reach 400K. Looked like an absolute spud last year when he played. I don't know. He played two games and, I don't know, just couldn't go near it. I just thought, yeah, fair enough. So I was really reluctant to pick him this year, but yeah, he's an absolute weapon. I was watching him in the midfield, and I needed him for a goal for my multi and not 20 touches. And he lined up in the midfield and attended like every centre bounce, and I was pulling my hair out and got a shot on goal and then hit the post. So, but shout out to him, he's a quality player. So yeah, good on him.
Yeah, Swan's midfield looks dangerous this year.
Yeah, it's beast. Now, I did have Luke Parker. That's probably the one positive to come out of it. But yeah, I think I'm just going to go with the send it strat. I think I'm just going 30 trades straight at this point. What have I got to lose? And after all, it is just a game, so I should try and enjoy my trades. But yeah, I'm not. For those listening, I took a break off SuperCoach last year because this is what happens. I just get too enticed and I end up doing research for 15 hours a week and but I do enjoy it, even though I'm shattered that my team sucks, but I am enjoying it because it keeps me into the footy. But yeah, no, it's good. All right, so that's enough for the SuperCoach chat this week. Once again, as I mentioned, bring in Tom Highmore, Saints, please. All right, week 5 preview time. Sure bet of the week. I'll start us off. Rogue One, because they are a seriously out of form team. They're actually paying $1.03, which for an out of form team is weird, but Geelong to beat North Melbourne.
Yeah.
Look, they can't lose this game, surely not. Like, you look at their lineup, it's at the Cattery. It's just got to be a bounce back game, doesn't it? I think the line is 56 points.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if I've ever seen that. I think Port North was like 30 or something. I actually don't remember that one.
Yeah, it was in the 30s.
Yeah, so the fact that this is 56 is interesting, but obviously everyone hates North, which is weird because I thought they actually played pretty decently against Adelaide, but to be fair, they did still get pumped.
Both teams were shocking, I'll be honest.
Yeah, man, I'll be honest. Quarter. I love a crap game. There's something about it. I froth it. I think last year it was like Adelaide versus Freo or something. I just frothed it.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it was
there's something about a crap game. I like it. I forgot to mention Tex in the SuperCoach tap, but given how well he did without kicking too many goals, I'm actually tempted to bring him in as well. I reckon he's a genuine lock this year.
I'm just waiting for him to pump out a 30.
Yeah. But mate, he couldn't have been less involved on the weekend. I saw him twice and he ended up with a ton. So I think I'm almost convinced now. But Geelong surely got to win this. Surely. Broey, who's your sure bet of the week?
Well, I had that one in there as a little two-legger. The other one I've got is West Coast over Collingwood at Optus. I think that's pretty sure. I think the odds for West Coast, I think they were either $1.13 or $1.30. Whatever it is, I think jump on it. Just chuck it in your multi to add a bit of value because I think that's so sure. I think the Eagles, we know how good they are at Optus. They'll beat anyone. And the Pies at the moment looks like they'll lose to anyone. So I think that's easily sure bet of the week. I looked at Geelong. That was obviously the clear one, but you never know. They lost to Adelaide at Geelong's. Oh, no, sorry, it was in Adelaide, but they still lost to Adelaide in round 1. So you just never know with any type of game. I reckon the West Coast one's pretty safe.
Yeah, agree with that. Pilch, who's your sure bet of the week?
Cats North. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
All right. What's your upset then? No, that is a fair cop, actually.
Upset of the week, Freo over Adelaide.
Yeah, I'm on
Quite
that.
a juicy price on this one. I think it was about $2.40-ish for Freo. I think it's in Adelaide, but I actually wouldn't be surprised at all if Freo won this game. And they're coming off a win as well. And I think they've got the more talented list, especially with Fife back.
Yeah, that's my upset of the week as well. I actually don't think Adelaide were impressive at all in that North Melbourne game. Yeah. I think for the majority of it, North were actually the better team.
Our
they
good
just
mate
couldn't cap off their chances.
Our good mate James Curtis said the other day that Adelaide should make the top 8, and it's probably the worst call me and Cork have ever heard in our entire existence.
Calls like that make me not like the bloke.
Calls like that make me sick.
But yeah, Freo had a solid win over the Hawks. Yeah, I just like this Freo lineup, to be honest. Well, I was going to say from 1 through to 22, but I don't know probably the bottom 5, so I'll go 1 to 17. I like them all. But yeah, Adelaide, it's a tough challenge, but why not? Come on, Fife and the lads. Rowie, what's your upset of the week?
I've got a different one. I've got this is going to be controversial. I've got the Giants over Sydney. I don't know. I have a feeling the Swans that look, their win streak isn't going to last forever. There's going to be a game where they do eventually cough up a loss. I reckon it might be this one. I think so. The Swans are losing. Can't remember who it was. They've lost. So they've lost Heaney and remind me who the other one was. I can't remember. Rampy. That was it.
Oh, I forgot about Rampy.
Yes, and the Giants obviously. I think they said they're going to go after Toby Green probably, but I don't know. I reckon that little win might just kickstart their season. It's in Sydney. They obviously play each other a lot, so I reckon that has serious potential. They found Finlayson as well up forward who kicked 4 for them on the weekend, so maybe another avenue to goal there for them, which is probably what they needed because they were struggling to find goals. So I definitely reckon GWS over Sydney is a decent shout.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I'm back on the GWS bandwagon. I was off it for a week and I'm back on now. Yeah, dead set. I love him. Yeah, I didn't read the article, but it looked like they were saying George Hewitt to go to Toby Green. I'm not sure, though. I just saw the photo from the article, but that'll be an interesting matchup. Georgie likes getting under people's skin. Oh, by the way, for that North Adelaide game, bloody Kane Turner seems like the most annoying tagger. He was just, he was being the biggest pest to Rory Laird. But anyway, it was funny to watch.
I was stoked about that. So I don't have Laird in SuperCoach.
Oh, part of me was happy because I was like, he was one of my captaincy options and I didn't go him. So at one point it looked like he was getting 150, but yeah, fair play to Turner. All right, game spread. Jesus Christ, there's some interesting ones here. Pilch, do you feel violated that Carlton are down to $2.20 to beat Port Adelaide? Because I think that's disgusting, to be honest.
I must say I am very surprised because it started at $2.50 and it's come in Carlton's way. And like we've just beaten Richmond, but it is kind of a tough fixture traveling to the G. But like I feel like we should probably be the odds should be more in our favour, you'd think. So a little violated to answer your question, Corker.
Yeah, well, you boys both predicted them at number 1, if I'm not mistaken. And if they're going to win the minor premiership, they've got to win this game. So the game spread as well, not just head-to-head, they're at minus 6.5. So giving them a goal as well. I just can't see that happening. So chuck it in your multi for a bit of a value boost. Pilch, other game spreads you like here, mate?
Yeah, I didn't put that one in mind just because it involved Port, but I've gone West Coast minus 22.5. I could just see them absolutely piling on the goals against Collingwood as they do at Optus. They just start scoring every 3 seconds. They did it against us last week in the first half, and I feel like it could be a blowout. So that's my main one. Do you want me to reel them all off? I got 3.
Yeah, go for it, mate.
Freo plus 7.5, as discussed in my upset.
Yeah.
And interesting one here, but Bombers plus 24.5 against Brizzy. at the Gabba, which is a tough task, but Brisbane absolutely no form to work with, and the Bombers are actually in form, coming off 2 pretty decent performances. So I think they'll come in fired up and bring it to the Lions.
Rowie, which game spreads do you like, mate?
I'm actually the same. I'm got Eagles at minus 22.5 and the Bombers at plus 24.5. I'm glad we've both seen that, Pilch, because I think those are both steals. And I was just thinking, I might just chuck like 100 on the Eagles minus 22.5 and pocket like 90.
It's actually value.
Because the only reason I'm not going to is because every single sure bet line I've got this year has gone wrong. So I don't know. I'm not going to, but I just have a feeling like if the Eagles, the Eagles are certainly well equipped to just pump them, especially with Collingwood's outs in the middle. I see the Bombers definitely. I see them causing potential upset there. I'm just so off the lines at the moment, so I definitely reckon that plus 24.5 is really good value. I reckon if you're chucking on some multis, I reckon $1.90 value on chucking it to really boost those odds as negative 22.5 against the Pies for the Eagles. So definitely chuck that in there. But based off my recent form, don't, because it's going to go wrong. In hindsight, I probably should be chucking in the Tigers here because every single time I've obviously done one of these, I've gotten it wrong. So if I was to get the Tigers one wrong, we'd win. So, but yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, just a shout out to myself. I got the GWS spread last week. I did say about 6 and only got 3 right, but I just wanted to mention I just said that one. I'm actually, this is rogue, but I'm actually liking the other one in the Brisbane-Essendon game. I'm actually liking Brisbane to beat them by more than 25. I just think surely they can't be this bad. Like, nothing is suggested why they should get worse. I think huge bounce back game. They've gone back home after a month, 3 weeks on the road. They've had some of the toughest games in football at the Cattery against the Cats, in Ballarat against the Dogs. And they didn't, they lost by 1 point, arguably should have won. Lost to the Dogs by 20, but that's not a bad effort to the Doggies at the moment. They did only beat the Collingwood at Magpies in a buzzer beater, but I don't know. Yes, Essendon have been good recently, but they're due for a stinker. Brisbane due for a bounce back. It's leaving it up to fate a little bit, but surely Brisbane aren't that bad. Like we mentioned, Freo, that's a good one. Another rogue one, Hawthorn. I like them every week in the spread. I just don't see them getting smashed that often. I think they've missed the last 2 spreads by like 2 points, which is stiff for those people who've had them in their multis. But this week, the spread with Melbourne is like 23.5. Yes, Melbourne's in unreal form, but Hawthorn due for a win.
I actually read that.
Could have a tight one. Not saying they're going to win, but it could have a tight one there. They've got a few really good informed players at the moment. And I'm not necessarily saying do this, but I'll tell you what, North at plus 56.5. It's freaking value. Any footy game at plus. I can't say it with a straight face, so maybe don't do it. But that is a big margin, though. I mean, that's saying the Cats, because surely North aren't scoring sub 40 points. That's saying the Cats are putting up 100 plus, which is actually going to happen. But yeah, actually, I take it back. They're bloody pumping them, aren't they? But yeah, there's a few to think about for your multis. All right, boys, it's been another long one, but I've enjoyed it as always. We've touched on pretty much every topic there is to touch on. We've done a touch-up job on the AFL. But yeah, thanks for joining me, boys. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy round 5 off the footy. It's unreal at the moment. I'm looking forward to it. Go the Saints. Fuck the Tigers.
Go the Saints.
Go Port. Fuck the Blues. We will be there. Are you going to the game, Rowie?
I'm going to the Saints game, yes, and I actually might be going to the Carlton Port game as well. So,
beautiful.
Potentially 2 this week. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to both. So yeah, go the Saints. Go Port.
Thursday? Thursday night. So shout out to Maddie's match. At Marvel. So it's 7:20. Maddie's match. So that's huge for obviously the course that the Rewalts are doing. So can't wait.
Feel bad for lipping off the Tigers now, but yeah, good cause. 24 hours. Let's pray that Tommy Highmore's back in and he can give us our 70k that he owes us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Let's be honest, mate. He's not back in.
Yeah, he's just not. They're not dropping anyone.
Yeah. I was low-key hoping the Eagles would pump the Saints last week.
I might go down to the VFL.
Might have come back in.
Come back in, yeah.
I might go down to the VFL and just spray him. Just live him off.
It's not even his fault, mate.
You've dogged me, mate. It's his fault. He should have stayed in the team.
Averaging 68.5. He should honestly probably be in there, but yeah.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, you should pick the side on SuperCoach scores. But yeah,
Daniel McKenzie's in over him.
Yeah, Jimmy Webster. Who are these blokes?
Webster's a gun. Daniel McKenzie, though. Jesus.
Webster's known by 3% people on Earth, let alone 3% of SuperCoach sides. But yeah,
just watch his kick on the weekend.
Yeah, I actually pay that. I like Jimmy Webster. Yeah, I'll pay that. All right,
I'll let you sign off now.
Yeah, the sign off's taking 5 minutes. But yeah, thanks for joining me, boys. Enjoy your week. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time. Cheers.